All right, we are back. This is the Dream is Free podcast, episode 21.
Yeah.
I'm your host, Jake Healy. Our other host is Mike Theophil, host and super producer.
What's going on, everybody? We got an awesome guest today.
Yes, our guest today is Bobbi, with an I at the end.
Yes.
Bobbi.
Correct.
Brown.
Yep.
And she is the
Not the singer.
At all. I have a whole intro.
or not the makeup artist.
Correct.
Yes.
Because when I Googled you, like, this makeup artist pops up first. I was like, I don't think this is who we're having on the
Not
show
at all.
today, right? All right. Yeah, so Bobbi Brown, she's the founder of a nonprofit organization called #100GirlsLeading,
Yes.
which is a local Bridgeport-based, right, nonprofit centered around helping, mentoring young women from the city, right?
Correct.
Awesome.
That's awesome.
Cool. Thank you so much for coming on today.
Thank you guys for having me.
And I think you do a lot more than just a nonprofit, right? So you have your own radio show.
Yes, I'm on a radio show. I work in the community. I'm on the Bridgeport Board of Education. Just newly elected as the vice president for the Bridgeport Board of Education.
This past
Congrats.
election cycle?
So no, we didn't have election cycle recently, but we had an opportunity of a door opening up for us, and I was able to take that seat. So the past election, I was elected as secretary, and now with this transition happening, became vice president.
Awesome.
So
How has the school year been? I know like schools closed down on Monday, right? Because
Officially?
It has been pretty
Yeah.
interesting. I think I was on another broadcast, and I was telling them, they were asking me, about the educational system and just trying to see how parents and everyone adapts. And I tell everyone, I was like, this is something new. I don't think the biggest virus or any pandemic that we've experienced was probably the Spanish flu. And I don't think either you or I were born around that time. So a lot of people are learning how to adjust to the new norm. I don't think anything will go back to its normal place, but we're learning to adjust, and our students are learning to adjust. I think we have to be patient because it's like a triangle. You have the parents, the student, and then you have the administrators and teachers that help make the student be the best that they can be. Right. So Bridgeport's in the middle of a transition, trying to make sure that we meet the needs of our students, but also we become supportive. I think we do a lot of, backlash and getting mad at each other about things. No one has been here before. Right. So it's new. And also, too, finding ways to be creative about learning. I know we are from the generation of technology. So this is teaching our students to be tech savvy, but also, too, to realize that those that are in high school are getting ready to go to college, and some of our classes are online, whether we like them or not. Right. But also, it's just teaching us how to better adjust with the time.
Yeah, kind of just getting ready for that college life anyways, where you have so much more freedom and you need to schedule your own time to do stuff, right? I feel like the city, like when all of this happened, the city of Bridgeport like actually handled the lockdown and the shutdown pretty well, with like making sure that like kids were still getting their lunches, all this, like I saw like all the schools staying open and cafeterias doing all that stuff. So that was cool to see.
Shout out Bridgeport.
Yeah, I think for me, I get a chance to see it from both sides. So people are like, well, why are the schools open? Why are the schools closing? And it's like, there's two sides to this story. There's children who need the schools to be open for whatever it means, shelter, safety, food, whatever those cases may be. And we've seen that children are not getting proper meals, when they're home, whatever the situation may be. So that's why the doors of the schools are open. And some of them need that safe place. Some kids go to school for safety. Right. And then you have the other side of it where some students are doing well with online learning versus being in class. So there's a transition for all of them. And I think Bridgeport is learning to adjust. And I think, too, from this city that we can learn to empower each other and to be there for each other and to realize that we don't have it written out. No one has a manual for this pandemic. So.
And you said you're now the vice president of the...
Yes. So I'm the youngest, I believe the youngest elected individual to the Board of Ed. And then, over time, an opportunity presented itself. So I'm more of one of those people. I don't pretend I know it all because I really don't. I've only been alive a 30 years
right.
or so. So I don't really know it all, but just take an opportunity to learn how things operate on the board, and also to find mentors, people that I can look up to help me navigate this system so that I can be able to better change it, and also to put my little 2 cents in and where I think I can help out. I think most people go on these boards and get elected to really, you know, go in and think that they're going to change a million things. And I've learned over these last 6 months is it's not about the million things. It's about the one thing that you can walk away from the board that you can change. Don't stress yourself out about things that are way beyond your control. So pick one thing, and that's what I've been focusing on. Finding little things that I can put my 2 cents in and then advocate. So I advocate very big. So most people say, oh, you seem very quiet. I am. But when I'm in my role, you can't tell me anything. You know, I'm one of those people. I'm for the people, and I'm out there with the people, because I believe that's where the communication happens and that's where the relationship happens. So I'm out there.
Awesome. Are you working with like the superintendent on stuff?
Yes.
Like Superintendent Testani, right?
Correct. I'm actually, so the board actually hires the superintendent. So we actually, you know, hear him out, hear his day-to-day activities, see how we could better assist him, and also to, you know, listen to the concerns that the district may be having. And then we, as the board, try to meet the needs of the superintendent to support him better. And then also to try to operate a district and a board properly so that people can find the different resources and parents can find the resources that they need. So it's a tough job. Most people get into these seats thinking, you know, they have all the knowledge. It's not a one-man show. It's a group of people that have to learn to work together to be able to meet the needs of the city.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So you do the vice president of the board of education, right?
Correct.
You have your own radio show.
Yes.
And what is that based around?
So funny story. So I've been doing radio since I was about, like, I would say 14. And been doing that. So I used to do a show where we would have students come in from all the different schools, Bassett, Harding, and Central, and we would talk about day-to-day activities, what we liked in our city, what we didn't like, what we liked in our educational system, what we didn't like, and then we would talk about real conversations about what young people talked about. And then after a period of time, I went away to college. That radio show went really well, but I started finding myself away in school. And I came back and I said, I want to do something focused on a target audience that I can better reflect with, which is women. So taking an opportunity to empower women of color, reminding them of their purpose, and also to allowing them to find a safe space to talk about things that they want to talk about. I believe this year is a year, well, last year was a year of the women, but this year is definitely the year of the women.
Yeah.
I'm just seeing that we have an African-American woman that is now vice president of the United States of America. So just that empowerment in itself, giving women an opportunity to feel that needed love and sisterhood. So
that's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
So do the Board of Education radio show. You have your regular full-time job at the career?
So I work at Career Resources in the city of Bridgeport. So
Okay.
marketing communications over there.
All right. And that's just geared around helping people from the city find jobs.
Right. So we do, we help employment. We help people. So I'll give you the idea that I think as the marketing person. So I believe Career Resources over the years have become like the 911.
Mm-hmm.
So within this pandemic, we have been able to focus on the resources part of our organization and making sure people find a place where they can get needed resources right now. So if you're hungry, you're not asking me to fill out a job. You want food. So how can we get you food? You need housing. How can we help you do that? If you need a career, how can we help you do that like right now? And over the years, I believe, I've only been there since I've graduated school. But even with that being said, I've had an opportunity to meet so many different people from different walks of life that have different reasons of why they're going back into the employment phase and why they're looking for jobs and opportunities. And then I get to tell their stories. I get to find their journey and then get to share that journey with other people, not just funders, but people that look like you and I that say, hey, I've been there. Or, hey, I'm going through that right now. How could your journey help me? So we work with the reentry population. We work with the young people population as well. And then we work with people who, used to work and, life has changed for them and now they have to go back into the work world. How we give them the proper skills to be better prepared for this new world, because we have people who were, working years and now they're in their 50s and they're saying, hey, I need a job. How can I get this help and support? So what we do at Career Resources is we help them get the fundamentals of getting their feet wet and getting them, back on the, the horse, I guess you would say,
Yep.
to the career path that they're looking for. It's good to have a support here in the city of Bridgeport. I think a lot of people think that you have to stick with one trade or one talent, but Career Resources says, hey, we're going to equip you with what we think is best that can help you, and we're here to support you.
Awesome. Has this year been more challenging than other years at that job as well? Like, is it obviously a lot of people probably have lost work? Has it been more challenging in that sense?
I would say it has been challenging for individual people. I would say I really can't speak for everyone's situation, but I will say as an organization, I feel like we've adapted to be able to meet the needs of our clients. So if our clients are struggling with Zoom or struggling with getting online services, we've tapped into different resources. If we Career Resources can provide it, there's people like me that I'm well adept. So I'm good with the community when I'm out from my 8:30 to 4:30. I'm out in the community, and I'm able to tap into resources that may not just be Bridgeport based, but if they're in Connecticut and they provide a resource for our community, I'm out there tapping in and I'm saying, hey, how can I promote this to our people and make sure that they're looking for a job in this area? We can provide that job for you. If you're looking for housing or food in this area, how can we provide? Because Bridgeport is huge, but there's so many resources in Connecticut. So I think that's important. And I think Career Resources has done a fabulous job at trying to not just be all to everyone. I'm saying it wrong.
Okay. Be all and all.
Yeah, that. Not trying to be that, but being able to say, hey, if we don't have it, we know someone that does. And if we can create it, we will. I think a lot of nonprofits and a lot of businesses are learning that you may not have everything, but you be able to tap into your backpack of like resources and provide those things.
So many outlets. It's just hard to kind of like narrow down where like an individual can go to start getting help. So that's awesome. And then last but not least, you have your nonprofit organization, right? Which is probably your passion and purpose, right?
It makes me smile, makes me happy. So I told you I went away to college. And while I was away at school, I was introduced to, so my mom didn't go to college with me. She, gave me the money I needed. I got on the bus, the plane, and I got there. But the thing about that was that I was in Tulsa, Oklahoma, all by myself, no family, no friends. And she couldn't go. So she tapped into her network of women that she knew. And she says, hey, my daughter's coming to Oklahoma. Could you be there for her when she's hungry? Could you give her a place to stay when she needs a place off campus? Could you provide clothing or food for her when she needed those things? And those women became my mentors while I was away at school. So when
how did you decide Tulsa, Oklahoma?
Well, I've always been really good academically.
Okay.
So I received 2 scholarships. My first scholarship was an academic scholarship, so that paid for all 4 years of school. I only needed 3 because I was doing school here.
Got it.
So all 4 years of school, and then I have a dance scholarship, so I dance as well. So I dance. They gave me a scholarship for that. Only reason why I think I went out that far was because I was able to not put stress. Your parents send you to school to work your tail off so that you can find a way for school. There's some parents who can pay for your college education. My mom couldn't do that. So I knew every day I went to school, I needed to put my best foot forward, and I needed to provide the grades that will provide the money.
Right.
So, good grades equal good money. And that's what happened for me. So my good grades got me good scholarship, didn't pay anything. I'm a first gen, so it was a big deal. And I went away to Tulsa, Oklahoma, in a city that I've never been. So it was my first time. So it was a really huge adjustment for me. And going away to school is what really, like I said, inspired me. I met these women. They took care of me, made sure I was good, always was there, a phone call away, come scoop me off campus and make sure I had a place to go whenever vacations and things like that. I couldn't fly home or something of the nature. Those women inspired me. I came back home and I said, hey, how can I do the same thing for somebody else?
How did your mom get connected with some women in Tulsa?
So my mom was when she in her younger years, she used to just travel and she traveled to Oklahoma for a conference that she had went to, and at the conference she made different connections with different women. I didn't even know my mom went to Oklahoma until I got ready to go to school, and then she told me her story. So I was like, oh, okay. So yeah.
What was the conference for?
So my mom's a preacher.
Okay.
So I'm a PK, preacher's kid.
Yep, got it.
And she went to, so Oklahoma is considered the Bible Belt. Oklahoma, Texas, and a few other places out there. So she went to a preacher's conference, and when she went there, she was blown away by the school, which was ORU, or Roberts University. Had I would have known years later would be the school that I would attend, who knows? I didn't know.
Right.
And those was where she met those women and made good connections and friendships. So it was pretty cool.
Nice. So you went there and got connected with a bunch of women and then came back Bridgeport, and you were like, how can I pass this on to other people?
Right. So what I did was I came home and I did like a small like listening party. I work with girls, all the time, but this was a bigger group of girls. And I just started like listening to their conversations, and they were talking about day-to-day activities. They were talking about self-esteem. They were talking about career goals. They were just talking. And I said to myself, like, that's really cool. Like, they're really spitting out some real knowledge as to what they were talking about. But then I had asked them, I said, what is one of the things that you guys are missing or lacking? And they said, well, all the people that we look up to are not here. So, the Cardi B's of the world, the Michelle Obamas of the world, the Oprahs of the world, like they're not here. And I started looking, I was like, but they are. They may not have those titles or have those money, but they're doing great things in our city. How could I expose these girls to the women that are working their tails off every day, running nonprofits, running Fortune 500 companies, working every day? It could be as simple as the male woman that asks you every day about your education. She's considered a mentor. She cares enough to ask you. And the girls started looking at me like strange, well, miss, like, well, what's your idea? I said, well, if I can do something, like put something together where you can network and meet these different women, what would you guys think? And they all looked at me, yeah, I will come, I'll participate. Yeah, giving me the whole supportive thing. So I was like, okay. I went home and my brain started spinning. It was to the point where I couldn't sleep. I just started thinking, I was like, oh my God. So I was just like, okay, how can I make this happen? And in a matter of like months, I started reaching out to every woman that I knew, every individual woman that I came across, every woman that has done anything for me. And I was like, listen, I have this great idea. I'm going to pitch it to you. You tell me what you think. So the one issue that I started coming back with was these women were like, yeah, we're down for the cause, but we work full-time jobs, but we do this, but we do that. I don't have the time. So I said to myself, okay.
What was your idea to connect these women with like a mentorship program?
Right. So my idea was not to give them, so we have mentor programs here in the city of Bridgeport. Some of them are exposed. Some people know about them, some don't. But some of them are doing great work. So there's the mentor programs. And then there is the women that can do the mentoring. These women work in, big jobs, lawyers, doctors, but their problem is that they don't have the time that they would love to dedicate to do it. So there's the programs that can do the work every single day. And these are the women who want the opportunity to do this very same thing.
Right.
So I asked the women, I said, could you give me one day? You give me one day a year, and I'll make sure I link the girls up with programs that can continue this process for you. So the women get the chance to do what they love to do, which is, mentor and be involved with the girls. And then the programs say, hey, you've given us this platform. We want to expose our program, and then you can funnel the girls from the mentoring portion into our programs. So everybody wins at the end of the day.
What kind of programs?
So we're talking about Girls Who Code. We're talking about impact, Girls with Impact. We're talking about Girl Scouts of America. These are different programs that I reached out to, and I said, hey, I'm going to create this platform. Could you be there to support us? Can you be there to support girls of color? Could you be there to give us your time and do those great things? So it happened. So in 2019, I launched hashtag 100 Girls Leading. Some asked me, why did you call it 100 Girls Leading?
I was just going to ask that.
So I guess I look back at myself. I guess I underestimated myself because I was like, 100 is a big number. I could do 100. I know 100 people like off the top of my head. And from that day, I underestimated myself. We went from 100 girls to 800 girls register, 500 girls to attend.
Wow.
We were one of the biggest girls events outside of JoJo Siwa event that came to Arena here in the city of Bridgeport. That really opened up my eyes that said, Bobbi, you tapped into a need, you tapped into a resource, and your program will impact so many girls' lives. And from that moment, I ran with that vision. Like we had Congresswoman Johanna Hayes. She was our speaker. She's actually from Waterbury. She went from teacher to Congresswoman overnight. She saw a need in her students, and she said, I can't do it on this teaching level. I'm going to go all the way up to Congress. She came. She was our speaker. We had dancers. We had a young girl she was 6 or 7 at the time, and she talked about how she was bullied because of the color of her skin, and she made a song about it. And the song was basically saying, all the little girls in the world who look like me, who come from where I come from, you're beautiful, you're gifted, you're talented. And it really inspired, like, there's tons of pictures of just girls in the crowd. Like, it was a girl concert / girl mentoring moment. Because after the stage portion happened, we broke the girls up, and the girls had an opportunity to go around to different tables, meet different mentors, fire women, first, cops that were women, doctors that were women, nurses that were women, just different leaders that were women that came out and said, we'll give you one day in a couple hours. And I couldn't do any of this without my team of women. So I started off with just, 50 women. Then the numbers grew that volunteered. So we had 50 to 100 women. Then the day of, I believe we had about 200 women to volunteer that day. Wow. And literally they didn't get anything from it just volunteering.
So are you finding, like, let's say you have a young girl, you're finding out what her goal is in life or what she's kind of looking to do, like coding maybe or something like that, and then finding a mentor on that one day that they're coming and kind of match them up together, have them spend that one day or that time together with a group of girls who are into that, and then you take them and put them into
the program
that helps with them.
Yep. So they either walk away with a mentor or they walk away with a program. Okay. So either way, they're walking away with something. And in the middle of that, we give the girls, so one of our bigger sponsors, we had a huge sponsor, which was Conair. Conair donated hundreds of hairbrushes, so the girls walk away with like a suitcase-sized backpack full of donated items from women-owned businesses that said, hey, I believe in your vision. We want to support the girls, such as toothbrushes, feminine products. Girls walked away with a laptop, iPad. These are things that were donated from these different women organizations. So if the women couldn't volunteer, they sent their money, they sent their time, and things like that. So I thought it was really cool. And the girls walked away with something that makes them feel good about themselves. We do 100 Girls Leading a couple weeks before school ends. So we did it June 1st the first time. This year, 2021, because of COVID, we couldn't do it 2020. So this year...
You did it virtually, you said?
No, we didn't get a chance to do it at all. But we got involved in social justice work. So I think everything worked out for itself.
There's a lot going on this year.
Yeah, this year. So the girls were out in the community finding different ways to stay involved. But next year, 2021, our theme is empowering the girls. It's okay, ladies, let's improve our climate, teaching girls how to improve their climate and get them inspired about taking care of the world that they live in. So it's a lot of work. It's very inspiring. Some days I look at myself and I was like, what in the world did I get myself into? And then there's other days where I'm grateful that I'm able to provide a resource here in our city. I'm able to be a light. And sometimes of the darkest times in the darkest tunnels, it's inspiring.
Yeah. So you're very, very busy. You do a lot.
I do, but I do a lot, but I also too make time for, things that I love to do, like swimming or hiking or, fun things like that. Like I make time because I think self-care is so needed. I think this year has taught me that, Bobbi, you're so active, but have you taken care of yourself? Have you looked out for you? How do you feel?
Yeah, that burnout.
Yeah, and that's the only way you prevent it is taking care of yourself. So even though I'm a community leader, I'm still a person. And most people forget that. They see your face, you're out in the community, and they forget about how you're a person and you have real needs and you have real issues. And, even though I do all of this, I still go to work 8:30 to 4:30 every day. And I still do a nonprofit from 4:30 to whenever I finish for the very next day. So there's work that continues, but also to finding my own love of things that I like to do, staying involved. So.
What do you think it is that drew you to like this kind of work? Why are you so active in the community? Like, what is it that was like, I want to get involved and make this city a better place?
For me, I believe it's like in my DNA. My mom is a huge community leader as well. But I realized I didn't want to just be my mom's daughter. Like I didn't be the daughter of Miss Brown. I am the daughter of her, but I am my own person. And they say, like, when you're exposed to something when you're young, I hate it. Like, my mom would put us in so many different things when I was growing up. I hated it. I was like, I'm tired. I don't want to do this. And it's weird how when it's engraved, when it's in you, it's just really in you. So that opportunity of growing up, being involved, giving back to our community, even though it wasn't fun as a kid, as an adult, when I felt my hands idle, I found something to do. I found something to get myself involved in. So it followed me, and here I am, still doing that work and still staying involved. It's good. It's a good feeling. And some people say, well, what do you do it for? I do it because I feel amazing when I do it. I think I come alive when I'm really involved and I'm helping people. And, I'm not used to people helping me, but I do enjoy helping other people. It's adrenaline rush. It's an inspiration to see how you can impact somebody else's life by doing the smallest of things sometimes.
Got it. So is your mom's, if you're a preacher, it's not a church, it's a...
My mom's an elder.
Okay.
Yeah, so she doesn't have a church. She serves at a church.
Oh, okay, got it. And then you kind of just grew up going through that and just community outreach, helping other people all
Absolutely.
the time. God, it's interesting.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to bore you guys with all. I don't talk most about everything that I do. So most people say, well, you've done a lot to be so young. Yeah. Check my mom.
Yeah.
So it's really interesting when you talk about it out loud, and it's like, wow, I'm really, really involved, and I really like what I do. So,
do you think you'll ever get involved in politics at a further level than?
Yes, I have. For me, I guess for me is I have this feeling that I'm supposed to do something bigger. I don't know exactly what that looks like.
I have the same feeling when you're talking about the city and helping out and stuff. It's you definitely running for mayor one day.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Yeah, no, seriously.
Yeah, I'm serious.
So I don't know the path that, I believe in God, so I don't know the path that God will take me. But I have this gut feeling I'm not just doing all this work for nothing. I'm not doing it for an elevation of any sort. But when you feel you're meant to do something and you don't know what the bigger picture is, but it's something.
You just know you're going in the right
Big Sean has a
direction
song called Bigger Than Me. He talks about it all the time. It's one of my favorites. It's you just know. You don't know what, but you know.
Yeah, and that's
if you know, you know.
Yeah,
that's how I feel.
Yeah.
I say to myself, I'm there's really, really a master plan for my life. And one day I'll be able to sit back and look at all the people that helped me get there. You guys don't realize that this moment right here is inspiring, not just me, but it's going to inspire somebody else who may watch this video and maybe able I remember that day she was there, and here I am doing God knows what.
Yeah.
But it will be something great. And, it's good to keep yourself. So I'm a very guarded person. So people think when they see me out in the community, oh, you didn't know, I'm to myself.
Yeah.
I really like my own space. I'm very quiet. I'm very, to myself, but let that switch on happen where the community or something involved, I come alive and I'm someone else, not someone else, but I'm just this inner,
you go from the introvert to the extrovert.
There you go.
You force yourself into extrovert.
Yeah.
You got it.
So
okay.
I come alive and I look at myself, and sometimes, I have an outer body experience, and it's wow, this is really amazing. Wow, one day there's something down the line for me, and I'm going to invest in it, and I'm going to continue to put myself where I need to be, and just, hope that God would send me great people to help light the pathway. So,
yeah. I saw on your LinkedIn, you do a lot of public speaking too, at community events and stuff. What kind of, what are you even doing? Stuff with Al Sharpton I saw.
Yeah, so I've done quite a lot. So I've served in the NAACP. I'm still currently in the NAACP. I've served on the Bridgeport level, the national level, and then also on the state level. So I was president when I was in high school, and then I went from president all the way up to the national level, serving on the national board. So I've had great experience. I've met great leaders. I have walked with some of the greatest leaders. I've stood beside some great leaders. I'm an advocate by nature. So even though I'm out there in community, I believe advocating is so powerful because you speak up for people who can't find their voice, and you help inspire them to get their voice. I have this saying is advocate or be quiet. I think my generation does a lovely job at getting mad at something and then going to social media about it, but don't do anything about it.
I agree.
So I've been, in this time, I've been putting the fire under a lot of my friends' feet, and I'm saying, don't just get up there and complain. What are you doing in your community? What are you doing in your job? What are you doing in your day-to-day life to help put awareness or fight for something you believe in? So advocate or shut up. And that's where I am in this season. There's a lot that's happening on, in the world. You have the Michael Browns of the world, you have the George Floyds of the world, you have injustices happening on the local level as well as on the national level. And how could we as a people and we as a community find something worth fighting for and then not waver. So, whatever that is, I've led close to 50 to 60 marches during this whole pandemic. I was really out in the streets with the community.
Just in Bridgeport or all over?
All over Connecticut. Like, you name it, I've been there. I've been in places that I didn't see a person that looked like me at all, but I'm out there leading a whole march with people that don't look like me following me. So I thought that was powerful too, because there's also telling other people that you don't look like me or come from my neighborhood, but you can advocate for my people. So I thought that was inspiring, and just being in great places with great people and empowering these great people to say, hey, this is wrong. How could we fix it? How could we do something about it? And even though it's like the marching part of it, people say, well, oh, you march, you said all these things. But then when you're done marching, when you're done advocating for it, go run for office. Put some money behind that, put some fire behind that, go run for office. Go take the seat of the person who's not doing anything for your community. Right. Hold them accountable. It's either hold them accountable or run against them. Yeah. One way or another, something has to happen. So I think I've done a lot, but I've also inspired a lot of people as well. When they see the work that you do, they think that it's a piece of cake. It's not. I've had a lot of days where I'm really hard on myself. Like, I'm always like, okay, I could have did a little bit more. I didn't work hard enough. And then there's, people like you guys, and there's people like other people that walk up to me and say, I see the work that you're doing. You don't do anything for applause, but I see the work that you're doing. And that's inspiring and enough. That's enough to keep me going, when I feel discouraged, and, keep my head up.
Yeah. As far as this year goes, there was a lot of stuff with the police and Black community. This year was crazy, but that whole time between March through now, basically, George Floyd and everything else that was happening, it seems like it kind of has come and gone already. So here's it kind of just it blew over again,
So here's the way I look at it is so there's two sides. There's two sides to it. There are those that can only march. There are those that can only protest. But then there are those that affect policy. And I look at it this way: there's a two-way street. You have the policymakers, and you have the policymakers and the protesters. The protesters need the policymakers, and the policymakers need the protesters
to bring the attention to what they're trying to pass policy for.
So even though it seems quiet right now, I believe, and I'm gonna still say it, we just won a major election. So for that says alone that the Black and brown communities has said and has made their voices heard. We won't take this anymore, and we're going to galvanize people. I watched Georgia change from a whole red state to a blue state. Yeah. That doesn't happen just by one person. That happens by a collective of people who said, I saw what was happening in our communities. I won't allow it to happen. But also too, it says that all the marching, all the protesting was needed, because now it has exposed what is happening in these different areas, and we as a people have to do something about it. So yes, it may be quiet right now, but there's always something brewing underneath. So right now we're in this political honeymoon, I would say. So we're watching the work that we've done over the summer affect the change that we want to see on a local level, and then also on a national level. So right now, Bridgeport is getting ready into another election where we have city council and things like that. People's seats are up. So you'll hear the ruckus come right back up again. We're just praying and fingers crossed no one has to die for the ruckus to, the good noise, the good noise to, happen. I'm just hoping that all the work that we continue to do will continue to inspire people to pick up the baton and say, hey, I'm willing to run this race. I'm willing to run for mayor. I'm willing to run for city council. I'm willing to run for board of ed. So I think that's the climate where we are, and people are still adjusting to COVID. So a lot has happened in the last 6 months, but a lot has also opened up the minds of people who are, just tired of being tired.
Yeah. I had a friend who's in city council right now. Mm-hmm. And when all the protests were happening and everything, he just got elected to city council, so, and then all of a sudden, they're posting his phone number for everybody to call him and everything. And he was he's like, I just got elected. He's like, I don't even know where to start, Yeah. So it was a lot for him, but he's a good, really, really good guy. And I'm happy that he's in politics. He's a very well-rounded, middle of the road kind of person. I think that could help out a lot. But as far as, I think the overall election, having, a Democratic president and then having our first female vice president and everything is definitely the win. But I also feel like the topics of like police brutality, stuff like that. I feel like those are not presidential kind of, like Joe Biden's not going to fix that in Bridgeport. You know what I mean?
Right.
I feel like that's a small community, local government kind of thing.
So I think it's both sides, because I look at it this way. Joe Biden may not put the rubber stamp on it, but his decision for how he governs and how he affects all these different communities and all these different cities, I think that's power. So, I look at it this way. It's like he may not come to Bridgeport and say, Bridgeport, hey, you need to figure out what's going on in your police department. But what he does with policy will tell us a lot about the type of leader that he is. So he has some major decisions to make and some major choices to really implement and change, because for us as people, we always look at the presidential election as like the end all be all. There you go, I said it right. We always look at that as the issue, but I'm one of those people like, yes, I'm grateful that we have a new president. I'm grateful we have a VP that looks like me. Yes, cool. But my real work is right here in the trenches. Like I live here every day. Like I see people get shot. I'm from this community that we feel is being targeted all the time. And also too, I'm also paying attention to how much our departments are how much our departments are receiving funds to be able to do the work that they do, but then our school systems lack, our streets are not paved. These are where the real fights happen. So that's why I look at the presidential election as like, yes, but he has some major work to do. So, let's be real. Like we're grateful that you're there, but we're not done with you either. We're going to make sure you do what you need to do, or you won't see another 4 years. So that's how we have to look at it. But also we have to look at it the same way with our elected officials here in our city. Yeah, do what you need to do, or you will not see another 4 years. And when people get that idea that there's a saying, the power of the people is more powerful than the people in power. That is a proven fact. When the people galvanize and the people work hard for what they believe in, they have more power than the people who are making the decisions, because they need us to go to the polls. We don't need them. They need us. So when they realize that, and when we realize that as a people, we can make change right here on our local level. And the local level is the most powerful position, I think, because we live here. Biden does not live in Bridgeport. Kamala Harris does not live in Bridgeport. Right. We live in Bridgeport. Yeah. So we have to make sure we get the work that we need to get done.
Yeah. Where do you think that all kind of starts? Do you think it starts in the education system?
Good question. I think it's.
It's a tough question. It's really it's an unanswerable question, honestly. Like it's because it's multifaceted. Like
and it's also tailored to that individual too. Because for me, you could say like, oh, I think it's education because I'm on the board of education, but I think it starts with your own self-education, because some people don't even know who their elected officials are. Some of them don't know who their board of ed members are. Some of them don't know when to vote. Some of them don't know where they pay their taxes. These are things that you must educate yourself on first. Educate yourself on the parties. Educate yourself on the community that you live in. Educate on the people that are running in your district. So it's about self-education. And I believe that power, once you build that up and you realize, hey, these people work for me, like I voted for them, then you can go out and say, hey, now I want to see how you operate in this area, how you operate in that area. Then you galvanize your power and you get your power from your people, your community, and then you start making change on other levels. So that's kind of where I think it's self-power.
We're going to have our friend Matt come on here. He's in city council, and have him explain because I didn't know what city council was until he got elected to city council. Like he popped by my house, knocked on the door one day, and he's like, I'm running for city council, vote for me. And I was like, well, tell me about it. So I thought it was interesting. So I think we want to get him on here just to talk about local government and what it is that local government does, because everybody always knows and goes to vote when there's a presidential election. Right. But there's a lot of small local government
4 or 2 years
elections.
Here.
Yeah. Yep.
And I feel like barely anybody goes to vote on these things. Like only people who know like what's going on,
or old people.
There's a lot that goes into it. Yeah.
And I think too, like empowering our generation to vote. I would say, I believe it was Bridgeport had 76% voter turnout. That is very good. Yeah. Like very, very good over the past year. So that was just in the presidential election. Now, if we can get that same response.
Do you know what the percentage is for?
I have no idea.
Probably like 8.
I don't know.
Yeah, I'm just wondering. Yeah.
It would be interesting to know what it is, and then see if we can top that as well. I think, because this election made such a big noise, like it was a big deal, just like, when President Barack Obama ran, it was such a big noise. And then people got silent and people thought, another president who, another individual who may not have the mindset to even be a president is going to run for office. And we let our guard down. So now it's like you can't just do that for just the presidential election. You have to have that same energy, that same hoopla, that same power for your local elections as well, because these seats are very empowering. You're not going to go to Joe Biden and be like, listen, my sidewalks are not together.
Right,
oh my God, you're not going to go to him for that. Your city council person is the person you need to go to. You need to hold those people accountable. My education system sucks. You need to go to me or those that are on the board. How can you have a conversation? And I get it. Your friend Matt is probably overwhelmed, because I was overwhelmed my first year. And I'm just finishing up my first year. And even with being overwhelmed, I'm also learning too that I cannot fix everything. So even though they come to me with hundreds of things and hundreds of emails, you do not even want to see my phone. It's just, what can I handle now? There's a whole bunch of fires, but which one is on fire like right now? How can I help that one? And I think, once you learn how to balance that out, and like I said, people don't forget that we are people. We're still people. We don't know it all. We don't make the best decisions.
Yeah, you're learning as you go along too. As we go. Especially adapting. And at times like these, it's crazy. Mm-hmm. So what's next for you? What's your plan to keep moving forward? Help other people. Obviously, you're gonna keep going with your nonprofit organization. Mm-hmm. Anything on the horizon?
I absolutely don't know. I'm just, for me, it's like I am trying to just figure out where like my next major step is within myself. I think for me is, working on that mental health, working on self-esteem, working on those things that make you a better person, so that whenever that next project comes knocking on your door, you're ready for it. I think for me, right now, I'm just making sure that I, make sure 100 Girls Leading is continually running and things like that. But also, too, like, how can I get more educated on the different areas of the city government, and how can I, when an opportunity is ready, I'm ready, learning everything that I need to learn, and seeing where that goes. I think I'm just trying to be the best Bobbi Brown I could be, with an I, not a Y.
Yeah. I think like something to help educate people everywhere on what local government does and what the positions do would be like, I don't even know where to find that information. Like, obviously you can Google like what does city council do, but it's pretty broad, or
there's programs like Generation Now, where they go through all, like, from mayor on down, not who the mayor reports to, but just, it's like a pyramid, and you can see where the different people, report to each other, learning how these different places operate. Me and my friends have done a lot this summer, just trying to know how things move in the city. Because even though I'm on the Board of Ed, I'm learning how the Board of Ed moves, but I don't know how the city moves. So just taking that time and getting with like-minded people and saying, hey, let's go research this. Let's go figure this out. Let's talk to people who we normally wouldn't talk to and get those conversations rolling. We have talked to, I would say, over 100 people this summer, just trying to understand things, trying to get more knowledge. And then I've been, trying to get more of my friends to run for office. Once you know how to affect change, what do you do with the knowledge that was given to you? Do something with it. Start something, do something. And it's been really inspiring to really get, my peers on board, and just watching them, come to me and ask me for knowledge and things like that. And if I don't know, I go find someone who can tell me, and I bring it back to them.
Awesome.
Communication is big.
I think we have like from the guests that we've had on here so far, I think we have like a dream team of people that can like make this city better.
Yeah.
And we need to like get all of you at a table together, like sit down and see what your ideas are, and like how you can all help each other. Because I feel like there's so many. We've had you, Harry Bell, Mike Evans, who else? I mean, Sharon, who owns this building, is from New York, and he loves Bridgeport. Like, he fell in love like with this building and this neighborhood, and like he wants to like figure out how to expand kind of the Knowlton into the rest of the neighborhood around here. And how to just make the city better overall. But I feel like just like all of you guys sitting down like would be.
I mean, we need great minds at the table. Everyone serves a purpose. But I said this thing at a rally that I was at. A lot of people feel like you have to like every person you work with. You do not.
Right.
If you guys have a common goal, a common interest, and you believe that you can make the city, but you can still be you and still do great work with other people. I think Bridgeport does a great job and has a great job of connecting people, but we don't work well with each other. We're always trying to one up the next person or step on the next person to get to the higher position. It shouldn't be that. If we're trying to build our city, let's build it together. Bring your ideas to the table. Let's work together and let's say, hey, you work good in this area. I work good in this area. But at the end of the day, how can we connect the two areas together? How can we make this bridge or this building or whatever together? Because we miss so much. And I've seen a lot of people get burned out. I've seen a lot of people who are older than me just ready to quit. I've seen people who are younger than me that just started this work ready to quit. And it's so easy to feel like you're not making any change in your city. I'm from here. I've seen it grow. I've seen it fail. I've seen it, I've seen all of it.
Right.
And it's very interesting to see that I have so many people that are doing great things, but we don't have the proper support. And I truly believe, like, you're doing your thing, I'm doing, we can still support each other. It doesn't mean I have to do what you're doing. And if I am doing what you're doing, how could we do something cool together?
Right.
I think that's the problem. There's so many different people working in their silos and they forget, like, it's really a community effort, because that's the only way anything is going to change in our city. And just put your agenda, your self issues to the side and just say, hey, who's going to benefit when all of this is done? We won't be here forever, but our kids, that's what you should be thinking about. I don't have any children right now, but I'm doing all this work because I hope one day, someone can say, my mom was dope. Like, she ran this, she did this, and I want to inspire my kids to inspire somebody else.
Give them a better Bridgeport to grow up in.
Better Bridgeport.
Bobbi Brown for mayor.
Yeah. She's got our vote.
Sooner rather than later, maybe.
Yeah.
Fingers crossed.
Yeah. That'd be awesome. Anything else that you wanted to add in? Anything you wanted to bring up, talk about?
I don't know. I feel like I've talked a lot. Yeah. But I will say, like, if there's anyone that's watching this and wants to get involved, I say get involved. There's a Jamaican saying, there's nothing tried, nothing done. So if you don't try it, it never gets done. At least try. Mm-hmm. See where you can see what you can do. See how you can impact somebody. It may turn out from something from 100 to over 500. It may be something inspiring that may change, like, your community. So nothing tried, nothing done. So do something.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome.
Love that.
Where can people find you on social media? How can people get in contact with you?
Sure. I am on Facebook, Bobbi Brown, Bobbi, with an I. So I have this saying, I have to say, if I don't say it, because you took my intro, so I'm just going to say it for you.
Go ahead.
It's Bobbi Brown with an I. I don't sing, nor do I do makeup, but I'm a leader in my own right. So that's my saying I say everywhere.
I love it.
But you can find me on Facebook, Bobbi Brown, or on Instagram, Brown It Up. And then I do 100 Girls Leading, which is 100 Girls Leading on all platforms. And you can find us some of the great work that we're doing. If you want to donate to our girls, you're more than welcome to. We're a nonprofit run by donations. Everything we get is donated. And then if you just want to follow my career or ask me any questions, I like talking to people. I don't like to talk to people, but I like talking to people, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Like, you're not going to go seek it, but if they come to you, you'll
yeah,
get
like,
there.
I'm not like, I'm like, oh, hey, come. No, that's not me.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. If we see you in the street, just keep it moving.
No. You can definitely say hi, or I'll talk to you. Like, you would think that I pretty much to myself, but, like, for the most part, I'm not going to just, like, run up to you.
Got it. Awesome.
Well, that's great. I think that's a good place to leave off on.
Yeah.
Right?
We'll have you back on when you're
when she's
political
mayor.
campaign together for mayor, so that we can help promote that.
Yeah, totally. And thank you so much. And everybody, thank you for tuning in to another episode.
Thank you.
Peace.
Appreciate you.